Welcome back. Another beautiful day. It's a bit blowier today, so Tina's washing is going to get clean. It's going to get dry. But today's video is going to be a part 2 back on Tina's car. Wheel bearings turned up. In part 1 we diagnosed which one it was, so rather than have the videos go on forever, I've cut it down. So this is part 2. We're going to remove the hub, swap the wheel bearing over and put it all back together again. I'll bring you along and show you how we do it. Let's crack on over here. Alright, Tina's got the car jacked up. Axle stand underneath, safety first. So we've got to disassemble this. Track rod end off, caliper carrier off, disc off, which is, that's a Phillips screw, so impact driver on that. ABS sensor, I'm going to see if I can take that off because I don't want to be damaging that. And then it's just 2 bolts there, bottom ball joint, and it's all off. So, in theory, I've got absolutely no slack on this airline. There's a little tip for track rod ends. Undo the nut, put the nut back on to protect the threads. The 9 times out of 10 this works. Get a hammer and hit the part where the track rod end goes into the steering arm, and it should, just in theory, pop off. Just like that. So take the nut off, track rod end disconnected. Put the nut back on, we know where it is, so that can stay out of the way. So that's the steering disconnected. I think they're 18 really. That's those 2 off. I'll leave the bolts in there to keep it in place. Alright, let's see if we can get this cap off so we can undo the drive shaft. So we'll work our way around this so we don't want to deform it because we need to put it back on. Hey, there we go. That's unusual. I've not seen that on a car like this before. It's a castellated nut with a split pin. That one off.
That ratchet.
See if we can undo this. I'm hoping that this ABS sensor will just come straight out. Yes. Excellent. While we're waiting for that, let's see if we can take this. This is a fantastic tool. Impact screwdriver. Screw's loose anyway, I didn't need to whack it. So we'll take that off and do I be naughty and put it on the air gun? Let's give it a whirl. we'll put it back together with thread lock. Right, that's the disc off. Not going to, it's only just to keep it up out of the way.
So if not, I can go and find a bit of that really strong wire.
Oh, I'm going to need another one. Tap. Now I've managed to get the ABS sensor off out of the way. Now let's see if we can't get this drive shaft undone. Don't worry, Tina, I've done it. Yeah. Right. There's the nut for the drive shaft. That feels very tight. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put the nut back on it backwards, thread it up to the end of the thread. Now I'm going to hit it. That's the washer dropped out of the drive shaft, so don't forget to put that back on when it goes back together. Like that, but don't let it move anywhere because it'll slip off.
Is a lot of this seized up or something?
No.
Just fiddly.
Drive shaft to come out of the gearbox. That's all. Right, you can let that back up now.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. What would happen if the drive shaft came out of the gearbox?
Oil would go everywhere.
Alright, okay. So what now?
One hub.
Is that what you've got to go and press out and...
Oh, you can feel that.
Let's feel that.
It's heavy.
I can hear it more than feel it, but then you're used to it, aren't you?
It's...
I can hear it.
That shouldn't make any noise. That should be smooth. So there's the hub with the noisy bearing. So now we're going to take that through to the press and see if we can't press it out and press the new one back in. So if you're lucky enough to have a press like we are, they're not too expensive. But if you haven't got one, most garages, if you take the hub into them, they'll press a bearing in for you if it's a decent garage. Now, I've not used it for a while, so I don't know if it's going to work. Here we go, it is moving. What I'm going to do is try and press the centre out first and hope that it doesn't. No, that's not going to work. Right, so we've got the centre out, which is the dry flange, I suppose is what it's called. We've had to whack that out with a hammer because I couldn't get it in the press without damaging stuff. I might have to straighten this plate up a little bit when it goes back on the car. Once you've got that dry flange off, there's a bit giant circlip in here, but you're going to want a really decent pair of circlip pliers. If it's tight, just where the little eyes are, just tap it with a chisel both ways and that should loosen it. So now we're going to rest it on here. Because we can get these in close now.
The way it's bending stuff.
I don't mind it bending that shield. Try and get it as level as we can. Don't want to be.
Is this camera safe? Should I move it back and zoom in?
Maybe. I think we have movement. It'll go so far and it'll just drop out the bottom. Here it comes. Like that, bearings out. This is the dry flange, and when we whacked it out it's still got a bit of the bearing. And I'm going to try and take it off. Of course this workbench is meant for people that can stand up. We'll try with a chisel for a start and see how it goes. Little trick I learned. Get this part of the bearing hot. Cherry red if you can. We'll try our best with this thing. Then put your chisel across it and whack down, and sometimes that can spread the bearing apart, which makes it easier to get it off. You don't want to be sitting underneath, it starts dripping hot plastic.
That's what I was thinking. Do you want your
new gas thing, isn't it?
It's not coming, is it? Or is it coming slowly?
Need eye protection, I think.
There's those yellow ones up there.
Yeah. Better have them. Better let go in my bloody eye.
Is it coming slowly?
I don't know. So we finally got the bearing off the drive flange. What I had to do in the end was just grind it off. So grind a flat onto it and then split it with a chisel and then just clean up that part there. That part's going to be pushing into the new bearing into the hub. So we're going to try and do that now, and then we'll get it all fitted back on the car. Here we go, that's pressing in nicely now. We'll do that so it goes all the way home. And that's it. One new bearing in a hub with the drive flange, all ready to go back on the car. Absolutely no noise whatsoever. Come and have a look, Tina. Tell me what you think.
Yeah. No, I can tell the difference. I can hear the difference. I can't feel it. I can hear it.
So now we're going to go and put it all back on the car. Here's the hub. New bearing in there. All good to go. I noticed we have broke the ABS thing, but there's still half a thing there and the bolt that it screws into, so that might be enough to hold it into place. What I'm going to do is pop a bit of copper grease on the drive shaft. Just to help it slide in a little bit easier. Always make sure you start them before you do them with the air gun. With the air gun. And then you know the threads are starting, you're not going to strip the threads. That's it. I'm going to jack it up, get the axle stand out, let it down. Before we move anywhere, pump the pads because I've pushed the pads back, so we just need to settle the brakes again. Torque the wheel up, and then that's it. It's ready for a road test, and then Tina can tell us how it is. So that's another good job done. So that's it, all done. Tina's road testing it now. Can't see there'd be any problems with it. It didn't go quite to plan, only because we had a job getting the bearing off of the drive flange, which, you know, as I ground it off flat enough. You want to grind it, a flat edge on it, without damaging the actual drive flange shaft bit that goes actually into the bearing. So carefully grind it down, hit it with a chisel, and that comes off. So that was done. It went together easy in the press, straightforward putting it back together on the car. So that was another good job done. And I've got another car sitting out here now. Somebody's dropped off. My mechanicking days are over. I don't like getting dirty hands. We like gardening. Anyway, this sort of video is a bit of a how-to, but also just shows you what we're getting up to, really. And that's about it. So if you like this video, please click the thumbs up. All helps the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.